G'day tubers, just want to do a quick video on how to install a distributor on a air-cooled Volkswagen motor. It's a fairly straightforward task, but there's just a few little factors which can vary and make installation different in some cases, and as a result of that you do see it a lot on the Volkswagen forums, people who just can't get their car to start or can't get it to run right, backfiring, blah blah blah. So I'm just going to do this one here from scratch and just show how to align everything, because one of the classic examples is when someone goes from either a factory vacuum advanced distributor like that to the token 009 piece of shit, or the other way around, because they have the number one position in a different spot, and that can quite often throw people out. Another classic one is when the distributor drive alignment is not set properly when the engine's assembled. Can't really see it in this shitty light, but the drive has got a non-symmetrical layout, so obviously the drive cog only fits in one way. There's a small segment and a larger segment, which is much easier to see on the cog of the distributor. You can see you've got the small segment offset to the left. And when the distributor drive is installed, the correct alignment is those two slots perpendicular to the case joints, which runs that way, and the small segment towards the flywheel, towards the pulley end. I'll actually just insert a factory diagram showing it, because it's too hard to see here. Okay, so the first step is to get number one cylinder at top dead center, and that is where a lot of people often go wrong. On the crank pulleys, pretty much all models will have a top dead center mark of some description. This is an AD model engine, and it has, for the timing, the rear one there, which is 7.5 degrees before top dead center, which is for the ignition timing, and a dimple just there in the front half of the pulley. Big wide one, most late engines have that. That's top dead center. So I've lined that up with the joint in the case. So that will be top dead center, but it will be either number one or number three. So a lot of people get it wrong and get number three and don't realise it. So the way to find out is just break a bar like so, either on the crank pulley bolt or the gen bolt, like that, and just give the engine a small rock. You don't have to turn far, maybe like that. About that much is all you need to do. If we come down here, I just need to put my light on, wherever it is, there we go. Now if I rock that same amount I was just showing, you can see both those valves are moving. Now that means that number three is at top dead center. So all it takes is a full 360 spin to bring those marks around again. So I've just spun that around one time. You can go forwards or backwards, it doesn't matter. And now if I do the same thing, we can see they're no longer moving. Now the number two cylinder, the exhaust valve, we can see is moving instead. Those ones are staying still. So that's number one position. And if we have a look, a bit hard to see still because all the shit in there. The smaller segments are at the back, or pulley end of the engine, and it's perpendicular or at right angles to the joint in the case, which runs that way. So we're ready at number 1 top dead center to install a distributor. Now here's the next area where people often get into trouble, finding number 1 on the distributor. With the factory vacuum advanced distributors, if everything's aligned as per the factory setup, at number 1 it should line up with the slot in the little notch in the body there will line up with the rotor at number 1 position. And even most 009s also have the mark, but with them it's 90 degrees different to these later vacuum advance off the twin port motors. And I've just realised that something's up with this distributor, which often causes people problems, and that is the drive cog at the bottom is either installed wrong, it's just got a pin through it so it can be put on back to front. So that's either the case here, or it's a type 3 distributor. I would have to look up the numbers to see if that's the case. Type 3s have them 180 degrees out because of the fan shroud on it hits the vacuum can, but I'd say it's a case of just the cogs put in wrong. So what's going to happen now is when I install this, it's going to be 180 degrees out of whack to the notch. Rightio, so the number 1 cylinder is still at top dead centre, and I've got that distributor is all the way in and seated, and on type 1 motors the correct sort of orientation is the vacuum can almost level with the parallel with the pulley. And now you can see the problem. The number 1, well, the rotor's pointing here and the number 1 notch is there, 180 degrees out. And it's been a long time since I've worked on a type 3, but I'm pretty sure that's where the notch is on type 3 distributors, so that's why it's 180 degrees out. So it's probably not the drive cog installed wrong, it's just the wrong distributor for this motor. So that's lined up now. God only knows if these 20-year-old points are still good. They're probably enough to run the engine anyway. So going to need the cap next. Rightio, so the cap only fits one way. There's a little locating tab just there, which has a corresponding tab in the distributor body, so it will only fit with that lined up. So spin it around till it locks into place. There it is, locked into place. Clips would line up obviously. So when we pull the cap off, we can see the rotor's pointing there. So that one there is our number 1. And the firing order on these is on your, not that we can see it real well, Zunderfolge 1432. That's firing order, so we'd go 1, 4, 3, 2. And even though that little notch is out of whack and 180 degrees out, that'd be our firing order. So, and then you just got to get the wiring to the coil right. green from the condenser there, wherever it is, right here, up to coil negative, and it's good to go. And you can tweak with the alignment. Sometimes you get issues like the condenser there would hit the fuel pump like that. So if someone put the distributor drive in the crankcase wrong, what you could do instead is rotate the whole distributor 90 degrees, and then we've still got the rotor doesn't move, it's pointing up. Okay, we're going a little bit too far, so that lines up with that one, so that would now be our number one. So it was there originally, so it would all move 90 degrees, if that makes sense to people. So, yep, that's about the gist of installing a Volkswagen Distributor. Well, I dug up one of my spare Beetle distributors, and like I thought, this one would be a Type 3 one. You can see on the Beetle ones that the number one notch, if I can get it in the right light, is right there on that one. Unlike the Type 3, where it's 180 degrees different. So, someone who didn't know about that difference, that would have thrown them right off. Yeah, just little quirks with VW engines and bits you need to know about.